decide the meeting's supposed to start Monday. So I can't email to the people that are not supposed to. So Crystal suggested Friday and then roll day. Perfect. Yeah, so I brought my flash drive, and so you guys can work on it.
Yep, we'll get you squared away. We'll have that completely ready to go.
Okay.
Okay. So wait.
Okay, good evening, everyone. The August 2022 regular meeting of the Board of Education is called to order. Ms. Bowie, will you please call the roll?
Good afternoon. Ms. Craybill.
Here.
Ms. Walker. Ms. Adams.
Here.
Mr. Bullier. Ms. Justice.
Here.
Mr. McManus.
Present.
And Mr. Wildebohr.
Also present.
Okay, so again, welcome to the meeting of New Hanover County Board of Education for August. Thank you all for being with us in person or in the remote viewing audience. We value and appreciate your participation, your interest, and your advocacy on behalf of the students and staff. I ask that each of us do our part to contribute to a successful and non-stressful meeting by treating each other with dignity and respect throughout. No matter what your thoughts or feelings are about an issue or even a particular group, so that the board can remain focused on completing the governance work so necessary for our students and staff to be successful. I just wanted to call your attention that on the agenda, you will see estimated times for each topic. As a courtesy to and a respect for the time of my fellow board members, the New Hanover County staff that is joining us, and to the community at large, I intend to stick as closely as possible to these estimated times to keep our discussion focused and on point. So that being said, moving into our first agenda item, and that is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Okay, I have, is there somebody in the audience with us? Okay, I need to make one adjustment to the agenda, if I may. I'd like to add item D under information, classified recognition program, to be presented by Dr. Barnes. So I'm making that motion. Is there an amended motion to that motion?
Move to
I'd
approve.
like to also make an amendment. I'd like to see if we could add.
Pete.
Just-
We're going to do one at a time.
Okay,
We're going to do one at a time. Okay. All right. All in favor, say, any discussion about the amended?
I'll second the amendment.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, Mr. Wildebohr?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I'd like to see if we could add just at least an informational item about the call for the end, where we're at on that whole discussion.
I didn't get that, information on what?
On seclusion rooms.
Update? Yeah, up on,
Okay, that's a motion. Is there a second?
second.
Is there any discussion?
I'm not quite clear, just, is this I think what he's saying is an information.
He wants to add an information session.
Okay.
I'm guessing item now E.
Okay, all right. Well, there's people here I know that are interested, and I think it'd be a good idea to do that. That's my opinion. We've got everybody here.
Okay, so I'd like to just toss in there that, number one, we weren't prepared for that, with our senior staff to give any updates, and not certain if there are any updates, but I also wanted to just remind the rest of the board that we already have talked about this at several opportunities, and we agreed at that point that we were going to wait until after the September meeting so that the schools had a chance to review their discipline plans and update their school improvement plans, and then and have those reviewed before we voted on that. So that is my thoughts. Ms. Adams, do you have anything? Okay. Mr. McManus?
Yes, I'm fine with it.
You're fine with what?
Whatever you said.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and just take a vote on that. Ms. Billy, will you call the roll? Oh, the motion is to add seclusion, discussion of seclusion and restraints to the agenda. Yes.
Dr. Varner, are you prepared to do that?
I can provide the same information that I provided before, but I have not, the schools haven't provided their school improvement plans or their school plan for the management of student behavior yet. Right.
Thank you. All right.
I
Ms.
guess my
Billy?
question was, I thought the idea was we were going to wait until after Ms. Varnum spoke with the principals, which she has done at this point. So I just wanted to hear maybe what their recounting was, or where their, how that meeting went, where we were at.
Well,
So I think we do have an update.
I can tell you that I was at one of the sessions, and it was basically informational, and they went through scenarios and they talked about it, and she told them exactly what she told us, that she's expecting them to review their discipline plans and include it in the school improvement plans. So there really wasn't any discussion that I heard where people were pushing back or saying yay. Okay, all right, so Ms. Billy, will you call the roll?
Ms. Justice,
Yes.
Mr. McManus,
I'm not sure.
Ms. Craybill,
No.
Ms. Adams,
No.
Okay, so we won't be adding that. Okay, so now we are back to the original motion to accept the agenda as amended. So we've already had a first and a second. So any more discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, great. So we have that. All right, so next up on our agenda is our invocation. The Associate Pastor from Wrightsville Beach Methodist Church, Reverend Julia Hayes, will provide our invocation. So go ahead and step forward. Will everyone please stand?
Thank you so much for the privilege of getting to be here and leading us in prayer in this time. Will you join me now in prayer? Holy and loving God, I thank you for each and every person in this room. I thank you for the call that you've placed on their life to be deeply involved in the education of our young people. Lord, as they gather today to discuss future plans, would your spirit of peace be among them? Would you grant them vision and clarity? Would you give them eyes to see the path that you are calling them towards? And Lord, would you keep us always mindful of the least, the last, and the lost among us, that your justice would be done, particularly for these children. We love you, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, so next we have our national anthem, and I just wanted to say to folks that it is my goal to have a national anthem presentation at every one of our board meetings, whether it be live or recorded, and so tonight we will have a recording. Thank you to the Communications Department for culling through our archives.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light the proudly we hailed at the twilight's light brought by star to the sky, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the
that was, but do you know who that was, Aiden? Singing? I do. Okay. Yes. Okay, thank you. Emily Lane from New Hanover High School did an excellent job. Okay, will you please join me in the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Everyone may be seated. So, I thought we had made this change, but I guess since we didn't get it in writing, I'll go ahead and do it out loud. The next up on our agenda, I would like to switch recognitions and introductions with the work session. So I'm making that motion. Is there a second to switch that?
Okay.
So that recognitions can go now instead of the work? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I just did an update. All right, so now we are ready to do recognitions. Russell, would you like to come forward first?
Good evening. Tonight, New Hanover County Schools is proud to recognize New Hanover High School alumni Aiden Payne as the Gatorade North Carolina Boys Soccer Player of the Year. Aiden, who was a forward on the team, helped the Wildcats make history when they won the first ever Boys Soccer State Championship last fall. Throughout the season, Aiden scored 54 goals and had 11 assists, including 2 goals in the state final, leading him to Most Valuable Player honors. He also scored all 4 goals in the state semifinal. Aiden was named NC Soccer Coaches Association Player of the Year and was named to the United Soccer Coaches All-American selection. He is also a finalist for the Boys Soccer Player of the Year at the High School OT Honors and was named to the High School OT All-State Team. He is committed to playing at NC State this fall. Let's give it up for Aiden.
Yay, they should, yeah.
Congratulations, family, too.
That's his brother and sister.
Okay, next up is administrative recognitions, introductions. Dr. Barnes?
I'd like to bring in my physical replacement here, Jennifer Geller. There she is.
I was going to say, Dr. Barnes looks a lot like Jen Geller tonight.
Yes,
so.
We'll take you.
Thank you. Good evening. It is my pleasure. One of my most favorite parts of my job is the hiring aspect and bringing excellent talent here to the division. And while we would love to introduce all of the staff that we bring to the division, we are assured that at their school-based faculty meetings, those introductions will be made for school-based and department-based positions. So tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing administrative positions, those that serve the entire division. So first, I have Mr. Benjamin Horn. His career started out as an exceptional children's teacher, and then moved on with his experience in other leadership positions, such as a director of athletics, dean of students, coordinator of student support. and is now currently serving as an AP in Pender County. He is from Wilmington here, so we're happy to have him back as the AP at Hoggard. So join me in welcoming Mr. Horn.
Thank you for making the trip across the border. We're welcoming you with open arms.
We also have Mr. Stanley that is here this evening. He is our new Executive Director of Finance, and I know the Finance Department is extremely excited to have him joining the team. He'll be starting mid-August. And Mr. Stanley's career, he has served as a Chief Financial Officer in Whiteville, as well as the Vice President for Finance and Administration with Bladen Community College. And you may also know his wife that works here in the division as well, Miss Amy Stanley in Child Nutrition. So we are excited to welcome Mr. Stanley as well. Thank you.
Thank you both. Welcome to the team.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So next on our agenda is the board work sessions. So I have, Mr. McManus, did you pass those? Okay, and I have each one of you to get one of these sheets too. And then,
Oh, thank you.
Ms. Adams, this is for you. And did you bring it? No, okay. Okay, and so Dr. Faust, that's for you. Okay, so we talked about this at the policy committee meeting and ran out of time. So we just thought that I would just bring it for a work session because this is one of those ones that we really have to get done. So I do need your input so that I can take it back to the policy committee, for their input, once more to kind of follow our procedure. So those of you who are watching online, Pete in particular, if you, the policy that we're looking at is the one that we looked at in the policy committee. So if you pull up Assembly, you should be able to follow along with the document that I'm using. Okay? Okay. All right. So I brought this up. Ms. Adams gave me the opportunity about a year and a half ago to bring this up, and we never were able to get past, looking at these policies, looking at these committees. But it's time that we have to, and we are going to stick with this until we get her done. So starting a new year, and I thought that would be a good opportunity. So one of the main reasons for doing this, number one, is that our board committee policy is sorely outdated. And if you go onto our website and you look up under Board of Education and Committees and click on that icon, could we just pull this one down for just a minute and show us that? So the audience, if they want to follow along, they can see that too, because it's kind of hard to have two up at one time. Committees. No, committees. There you go. So if you look at the list that Ms. Baggy's going to scroll down for us, this list doesn't match up with our board policy. And then as she's scrolling and looking, we'll go back up, but you saw on the left-hand side, there's a list of those committees. And there's a disconnect between some of the committees on the left and some of the committees on the list. So we have to have something that is accurate for board purposes and for our community purposes. And this will be especially important as the year rolls in and we are looking to have members of our community and staff on these committees. So they're going to need to want to know, what they're doing and what they're responsible for. Ms. Justice?
Yes. Is there another way to view that besides up there? Because none of the handouts are on the...
That's why I'm having her put it up here, because you don't have a handout for it.
Well, I can't see it either.
You can pull it up on the website.
Yeah, pull it up on your computer.
Where? That's what I'm asking.
She just walked you through. If you go to board, and then you click on...
Because I had done that already, and it did not pop up.
All right, we'll give you a minute.
None of those are there.
No, she wants to see this page.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so while she's pulling that up, I will
Are we
go ahead and
supposed to
get
go-
started
where are we
on
supposed to go?
the,
To the
all right, so you can go
committees
ahead and just
themselves?
save that page and then come back to it for us. Do you have it, Ms. Justice?
Did you go all the way back to the board policy side and then go from there?
It's not on the board policy side, Judy, it's right here. Thank you, Ms. Baggy. Okay, yeah, I want to thank you again for filling in for our technology team too, because Anita is an alumni at that seat, and we welcome you back. All right, so if you could pull me back, Anita, for the audience to see the 2230, the policy that you had up, there you go. All right, so if you scroll down in there, I don't see that the one that we have up does it have red lines and my glasses just can't see that? No, okay. So on board members, on your page, the second paragraph, oh, no, the policy committee said we're going to strike that. I had added in there on the second line where it says that the chairperson of the board on an annual basis names the people, and I had added in there for clarity, can be changed if necessary by the chair at any time during the year. The policy committee felt that that was implied board chair option, so we are going to take that writing out so that we are not redundant. So go ahead and strike that out. In the third paragraph, about 1, 2, 3, the fourth line down where it says the superintendent or designee, and I put in parentheses there, and this is my suggestions, this isn't the rule, district subject matter expert in parentheses, so that we are clear that who is responsible for what on each of the committees, whether it be a board member or a district person. But even if it is a board member, the district person will always have the board member will always have a district subject matter expert on their team. Then if you move down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the seventh line in that same paragraph, we're ensuring accurate and timely information is available to the committee during its deliberation of issues. And then adding the sentence where it says, subcommittees may be formed to enhance and expedite the work of the committee. Okay, so now we're moving down into the first committee as part of the policy, the Budget Development Committee. And so now this is where I need Ms. Baggy to go back to the other page that we were just on. And click on Budget Development Committee. So at one point, at some point, and I don't know when, we switched from this definition of our budget development. Could you hold, Ms. Justice? Oh, huh?
I was on the board when that happened.
When did that happen?
That happened, I think, 2019.
Okay.
We decided it was a better idea to have meetings ahead of time and the whole board involved.
Okay, so this but it was never changed, since 2019, because it says right here that the Board Development Committee is made up of 3 board members to start with, and three board members, one who will be the chair of that, and an administrative person from the school district, obviously Dr. Faust, and the finance team. And so this committee will work together starting in December, January, and February to start talking about the budget and getting some things together and preparing some of the board members to know a little bit more and to help with the discussion on that. So when I saw that was a major difference. But it also says over here on the right that Budget Development Committee, board members, entire board. So we've got 2 conflicting things on the same page. And so I did some research, and there are a number of other districts, including the large ones like, Wake and Charlotte Mack, that they have smaller budget committees, budget development committees to get the conversation started. So we need to decide if that is something that we want to do. or if we want to keep it as the whole budget committee, the whole committee, and then we will probably need some parameters around that. So, Ms. Adams?
To Ms. Justice's point, in 2019, because we had 4 new members that came on, that was the rationale for making it a full board committee. I think that with the turnover on the board, that potentially you could have 4 new members again this year. I think that keeping it as is with the entire board for 2230
as is
is
where?
not on the website, as in the
in our
policy,
Okay.
as it stood in front of us. My personal opinion is that I think that that is the best way to do it because it keeps everyone involved in the process.
Okay, because it looks like this policy was changed in 2020, not in 2019. Okay. Ms. Justice?
I guess Jay is sort of confusion there. I thought that this is what the purpose of the policy committee was to talk on this. I'm not sure why we're up here doing this, when that's something, this conversation should be done on the policy committee?
Okay, so Judy, I explained when I first opened up the conversation. No, I did. I said the policy committee, and Mr. Wildeboer was a part of it. We decided, because we didn't get through it, to have a work session, take the work from the policy to the work session, get feedback, and then go back to the policy committee so that we could have input from senior staff. So we did go to policy first. No, senior staff has read it, and it was not their request. It was Nelson and Pete's and my request to take it to a work session so we could have this dialogue. So if you're not interested in having the dialogue, then you can just listen.
I mean, it sounds like this is something that they would be doing in policy.
We did. We got started, and we recommended that it come back to the work session. So if you watch the meeting, you can watch it and you can see that we did that.
And if I could, I can't hear you guys real well, so hopefully I'm not jumping in the wrong time. We wanted to get everybody's input on this because it is such an important topic. And also, if we also talked about how to form the committees, being a part of that discussion.
Pete, I didn't hear what you said. You're going to have to go to a different room or put headphones in or something.
Okay, I'll try again.
Thank you.
Basically, I just wanted to echo that we did decide to bring it back to the whole board to get input because it is such an important topic. Secondly, we also even talked about in that first paragraph, we kind of skimmed over that real quickly, but in the first paragraph of the overall overarching policy, because there are so many people that wonder, how can I get on a board committee? And it says there that it's made up by the chair. Obviously, I'd like to discuss that. And also, have a set way, it happens every year, how long, there's so many variables that it's just kind of left out there in never land. We really need to have a firm understanding on how somebody can try to get on a board. What it says right there is, it's only the chairperson that makes up not only the chairperson or the chairperson, but also makes up the entire committee.
Okay, so Pete,
but that's another topic. I know before you tell me.
Can you hold that thought until we get to it? We're talking about just the budget committee right now. Hold your thought because it's important. All right, so any more discussion on that from those of us sitting up here about the recommendation for the policy?
Well, it obviously needs to be put in one form and not 2 different. Yeah, well, that part's true.
No, what is your thoughts on entire board versus 3-member subcommittee?
Well, obviously, it's a good idea, but when we started, and she said we're going to possibly have 4 new members, 2, 1, but no matter what, it's good to have everybody always to be kept updated.
Okay, so you're saying, yes, you'd like to stay with the policy as it's, the wording as it's in the policy,
and
entire board?
Yeah, we should have handled this earlier, so it's good
I know,
that it's
we've
done
tried.
now.
Mr. McManus, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I agree, it should be
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll leave it at that. All right, let's move on to the next one. And these, what we're going through right now, I apologize, I skipped ahead. These are our standing committees. These are the ones that, so we would need to, in the budget, we would have to put in there some wording, and we can get to that from policy about, how often they meet, what do you want to do, that kind of stuff. And so I'll look to you and you, Dr. Faust, and Ms. Sutton and her team to come up with that. All right, so Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, that one seems to be, that one is actually one of the ones that is very well defined. And if you see on some of the, could you flip back, Ms. Baggy, and click on the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee? So on this one, you can see that we have all the members who are on the team. We don't have a subject matter expert listed, but we have the members of the team. And so that is one of the things, like Mr. Wildeboer had brought up, is that the goal of this, not even an exercise, but is not only to make sure we have the right committees, but to have the same kind of information to support each committee up there. So I didn't have any changes on the wording for the EDI committee, but right now the subject matter expert of that is our Title IX coordinator. No, it's not. It would be our Chief Equity Officer. So that is who the subject matter expert is for that. Okay, so next on the standing committees is the Family Communications Committee. And I was recommending, proposing that after consultation with the Communications Department, and Ms. Adams, who was also on that committee, that we disband this committee and the superintendent would create a parent advisory committee. And hopefully with a representative, we don't have to legislate that, but with unless we want to, with a representative from each school on that committee. So this one would not be necessarily community. It's kind of like the school improvement team, where you must have a kid in school to be a true parent, to be on the parent advisory. So that is what that recommendation was. So, Ms. Justice?
I think it's an awful recommendation. I wish more people would participate in the Family Communication Committee, and we do need to push that more, but we don't need an advisory committee set up by us. We need people in the community to come out and be involved. We have a tendency, and this is some of the complaints I get from the public a lot, that we control too much information. Well, this should be information that the parents almost control when you do this committee. I like the way that the Equity Committee's page was set up. I like the way this committee's page is set up. You asked for feedback, and I think we should do this with all of them. But as far as totally changing the Family Communications Committee, that's a step too far, in my opinion, to have another advisory committee. Advisory committees are good, but this is actually Family Communications Committee for the whole district.
Yeah, Ms. Adams, would you, since you started the committee, would you weigh in on the wording there too?
Sure, I'll provide some context too. Originally when the Family Communications Committee was created, it was because communications within the district was minimal. Mm-hmm. And the purpose of it was to speak with our families to find out, are you getting the information that you need? How are you getting it? How would you prefer to get it? And we were very active for the first year, meeting regularly. We had not town halls, but we had roundtable discussions with a lot of people in the community, and it was fantastic. And thank you very much to all of those that served on the committee. We had teachers, administrators, and we had parents representing from all over the county. However, when Mr. Smith and his team began reaching out more and creating a very streamlined communications plan, I feel that committee has become obsolete because they are getting a lot of the feedback. They are requesting to find out how do families want to be communicated with, and they've made a lot of improvements. One of those, for instance, one of the issues was that for our non-English speaking families, how were they getting information? And it wasn't getting to them the way that they needed it. That's something that they have answered, they have addressed, and we have strategies in place. So I'm with Ms. Craybill. I feel that this committee, it took a lot of time, but it was also because we didn't have the outreach that we have now. And so my hat's off to the communications department. You guys have done an incredible job, so I'm supportive of.
Well, this committee is more than just giving parents information. It's also to get feedback from the community to us aboard. And to filter it through the PR department. They're good at communication. That's why they're there. But this is a different kind of communication. This is a family communication with us. And that's who should, like, as you said, the first year was good. And it can be good again. And I know that the energy has changed because things have changed. But we can get back to that, and we need to get input from the community. People can come up here and speak to call the audience. We can get emails, we can get phone calls, we can get texts, we can meet people in person. But to have a group together and get feedback from other members of the community is a very healthy way to understand what's going on in our schools. And the advisory board, that's too structured. I mean, we need to have people feel comfortable and do things in such a way that's really representing our community. So that's to me what it is.
I'm just going to let Ms. Adams go, but go ahead, and I'll make my
I would just, my only response to that was, I think that with Dr. Faust's advisory committees that he has implemented, that's one aspect, but the other is we're doing town halls now too. So we do have a direct line to our community, so.
Was it twice a year?
and then also, too,
4 town halls?
we have 3 public participation meetings that are required per our policy, 2310, and we committed to that, and we've started with number 1.
Okay.
And so we're on that. So my suggestion to you would be, if you want this committee to stay, then you'll need to help write some of the goals, because the goals of this committee are not good. They are not accurate. And so if you want the community involved, then that would be a different kind of committee.
Well, and this
so
is-
submit that to Nelson, and we will talk about it. He's the policy committee chair. Submit it to Nelson, or you can tell me, or you could tell Pete, and then they can bring it back up. But that's where we are on this one.
Well, my concern is, this is the first I heard that there was a problem with the goals, et cetera.
It's not a problem. It's
You
just
just
we're
said it.
updating.
Well, yeah, the
We're
update
updating.
is good, but this is just the first I've heard. It would have been nice if I'd known it, or we'd known
Well,
about it.
this was posted, so it was on Assembly.
I'm not talking
Okay.
about that. I'm talking about, we just said the goals were bad. I'm just.
They're
first I've
not
heard that.
bad. They're just, we've met them. We've met them, and we do not need to keep working on the same goals. All right, so though your point is noted, and we will talk about that at policy. Next, number 4, student scholarships for future teacher committee. In there, on the second line, about halfway through, when it says 4 New Hanover County High School seniors annually, I had originally suggested at least 4, and then it was recommended that we take out a number, because we don't know what budgetary restrictions we'll have, so that we will have scholarships, but not to limit us on the number. So, is that okay with everyone?
I'm
Okay.
comfortable with that.
Yeah. Okay. And we can always go back and revisit, at a later time. And then so it's still, and then in the second paragraph, instead of calling Ms. Bowie, our administrative assistant to the board, I wanted to call her the board clerk, because that's what many other school districts call the administrative assistant to the board. Is that appropriate, or, okay? Okay.
That's
Thank
fine.
you for the head nod. Was somebody talking?
Pete, I think
I
everybody.
said that was fine, that was good.
Okay, all right, so next we're on to the policy committee. That one I had no changes on, 3 board members there, and it fits right in, we're following it, we're doing it. Next, number 6, the legislative committee. This is one that we voted on actually a year ago and never got it put into policy. And so I'll just read it out loud, that the purpose of this committee is to serve as a liaison between the Board of Education and local and state elected officials, so as to enhance their awareness of issues as they pertain to our local public education system. The committee will be comprised of 3 board members, preferably 1 from each party. 1 board member on this committee will also serve as the board's liaison to the NC School Boards Association per Policy 2650, liaison with the School Boards Association, and will follow the NCSBA legislative and other activities and report highlights to the entire board. So right now, per Policy 2650, we do have one person selected to do that, but their only thing is to attend NCSBA meetings. So this is broadening the scope of that work and encouraging more dialogue with our local and state elected officials.
Are
Yes, ma'am.
you proposing that, yes, matching up the policy, but when do you see enacting this committee? Does it make sense to wait until after the election at this point?
Probably. I mean, it doesn't mean that we have to do it like tomorrow. And I mean, we could wait till the new board chair, gets in place, or I could attempt to start it now. But that's a good point. We can talk about that. Okay. Yes.
Okay. This committee was formed back, was it in January?
Of last year, I think. It wasn't January of this year. It was a long time. It was when I first brought it up at our at a board meeting work session.
And I actually think that I asked to be on it, and I wasn't.
You are, your name to it, your name is on the list.
Well, who's the chair?
We did not adopt this as a policy. We did not adopt this officially on the policy.
Well,
You are the NCSBA legislative.
So this has been sitting there a long time.
It
I'm
has
glad
been
to
sitting there a
hear
long time.
about it. And this is very important, and I think, in my opinion, we shouldn't wait for elections to start moving this, because we need to talk with these government officials at all levels. This is where we get so much of our everything. So, yes, I think it's a good idea.
Well, we can talk about when we enact it, but right now, we just have to kind of get consensus to approve it. Okay, the next one is the Title IX Committee. And so that one, unfortunately, that one doesn't have, oh, here it is. This committee works with the superintendent and the staff, and is comprised of 2 board members. And I added at the end, what says, as well as staff and community members, to ensure that students are not denied equal access to educational programming and opportunities on the basis of sex. So that is the only thing that we need to add there. If you look back, you don't have to switch back, Ms. Baggy, but if you look back on the page that we've been looking at and click on the Title IX Committee, that one also is pretty robust in its explanation of the work, and that one is also on the front page of our website. So we'll be looking about how, when we get this finalized, on how we advertise this a little bit more. All right, so those are our only standing committees that we have right now. So next would be the board advisory committees. And the first line, I inserted, the superintendent and the board will also form advisory committees for specific purposes to be chaired by New Hanover County Schools staff. And that was always a little bit of a sticking point. There was always like a little bit of a gray line on who was in charge of that. So that is where the New Hanover County School staff means the subject matter expert. The board member, the next sentence, the board member does not serve as chair of the board advisory committees. And then the last line where it says the assignment of the individual board members to these committees will be published each year and can be changed by the chair during the year. So I'm going to take that one out because we already said through implication that the board chair has that authority to do that. So we can take off that last line. So now we've come through here and we're looking, and these ones are not, Ms. Baggy, could you go back to that page? I just want to look at something real quick. Yeah, because I mainly want to look at the things on the left. All right, I'm going to finish this up real quick. Is the Advisory Council for Exceptional Students listed up there? Yes, okay. So these committees that we're going through right now are also listed on the left-hand side. The Advisory Council for Exceptional Students, the only thing we have down there is in the second paragraph, it says comprised of a board member. I changed A to 1, so we would be specific. And when I looked at their bylaws or their standing notes, the last sentence on there says attendance is mandatory to remain on the council. So they had a requirement of that, so I thought that we should put that in the policy. Calendar committee doesn't change. We have 2 representatives. No, we don't. We have 1 board member on that. Number 3, I'm adding in, and it says, oh, we're not even looking at the same one. In number, yes.
Okay. This right now is because you're going to take this back to the policy committee and have they corrected what you're going over right now.
Mm-hmm.
You zoom through there, ACEs, and we've done this several times over the last couple of years. We took the ACEs off, even though people keep referring to it, because of its association with other acronyms with ACEs. So we were calling it, we decided as a group, I think it was the year before last, the advisory committee decided to be called the Advisory Council of Exceptional Students, because ACEs has got actually a very big.
So we're just taking, and I'll make sure we bring that up so that Julie, can you just add in on that? Is that accurate? Or do you want to wait until policy? Wait till policy, okay. I have that circled that we can come back to a policy.
If that's possible.
Yes, we can do that, not a problem. Okay, so number 3 is supposed to be, it will be I added in the CTE Business Advisory Council as an advisory team, and that is basically policy 2670 that we'll be going over later. on that, and that is going to be replacing the CTEC Advisory Ad Hoc Committee, and which we'll get to on the last piece of paper. Okay, so Educator of the Year Committee, that one stands. The Gifted Advisory Council, that one's good. Again, in one of the places it said a member, but it should be one member. I added another one in there, the School Health Advisory Council, called SHAC, and I listed in there, I'll just read, the board maintains the School Health Advisory Council to help plan, update, implement, promote, and monitor Policy 6140, student wellness, as well as to address other health and nutrition issues within the school system. The council serves as an advisory committee regarding student health issues and works in conjunction with the district wellness coordinator to coordinate the school system's efforts to promote student and employee health and wellness in compliance with state and federal requirements. And I just lifted that straight out of the SHAC wording so that we don't have, again, a conflict of wording. The council must include, and this also is part of the requirement, that the council must include each member of the following groups. One, a school board member, and we're going to put one, school system administrators, school system food service representatives, physical education teachers, school health professionals, students, parents, guardians, and the public. So we will talk about that again in policy, but that is, that's required. And then I took the opportunity there to just put in student voice. I didn't know how we wanted to do that, but it looks like in the policy that they're suggesting they want to have some sort of advisory team, but we don't have to talk about that right this moment. I just put that in there so that we could be thinking about how we want our student voice to be, in addition to what they're presenting, we're going to have to make some sort of decision. So that is there kind of as a placeholder so that we don't forget that we want our students involved. Next, letter C, ad hoc committees, and what you have in front of you is another list of the ad hoc committees. And ad hoc committees are not required as part of our policy, but I did make a one line on there that said the board clerk will maintain a list of ad hoc committees. And you can find the ad hoc committees on that page we were just on. And so I put it all into a spreadsheet, and so that we could keep track of the ad hoc committees that we formed. Hold on just one sec. The ad hoc committees, she's going to scroll down to it. Board committees, keep rolling. Is that them? Are those the ad hocs that we just scrolled by? Okay. So you can see right there. So we've got the bond committee. We really only have that when we have bonds, so we would keep that as an ad hoc committee. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me. Okay, because I am looking at this out of the our website, and we have the Board of Education representatives and the different committees.
I skipped that for right now.
Well, okay.
Can we go in the order that's in the policy? Recommendations? Hold that thought. We're going to get to it.
Okay, because a whole bunch of stuff.
Hold on. Okay. All right, so the ad hoc committees we have up there, and the capital request, that's really not a committee. It's we appoint a board member to that, but we can make that a committee if we want it to be. That will be talked about in policy. The dress code committee, that was one that was the board meetings and agenda committee. We had on here ad hoc, and that was dissolved. The dress code committee has dissolved. And then I am recommending to the policy committee that we dissolve the Isaac Bear Building ad hoc committee, because we are at a place now that the school system can take the reins and the lead on what that looks like. So, so the NCSB Legislative Committee, we were going to I was going to merge that into the Legislative Services so that we get that taken care of. And then CTEC requested that this committee be dissolved and included in the committee that I suggested to you called the CTE Advisory. So those are all things that the policy committee just wanted you to weigh in on. So does anybody have any comments about the ad hoc committees that we have?
Okay, so you're going to go back up in a minute.
Do we have any comments on the ad hoc committees?
Yes. No, well, yeah, you dissolved, yeah. You said that the dress code committee was dissolved, and that was all over the place here. Okay, good, all right.
Okay, so we got that one. So next up is the board appointments to outside committees. And that was not part of this original policy, but I added that in so that we had a way to officially tie in policy 2660. And the wording there is the Board of Education is often asked to appoint one of its members or designee to an outside committee, commission, or board to provide input on behalf of New Hanover County Schools. This will be done in accordance with policy 2660, board appointments to outside committees. We will be talking about that committee later on the agenda tonight. Then letter E is to Mr. Wildeboer's point, is that all board standing and advisory committees will have a chair, take, review, and approve minutes or a group memory, have a clear mission and goals, determine member length, recruit and maintain a diverse committee membership using a common membership application and recruiting time window, and periodically report progress to the entire board. We do have a section on a standing section on our agenda for committee reports, but we never have any. So that's one thing I wanted to try and bring forth. I didn't think that we needed, as part of policy, what that standard application looked like, unless the policy committee brought that forward. And my plan also was to, after this is adopted, was to bring together all of the subject matter experts for all of our committees and talk about what that looks like, so that it's not, the application is not being made in a vacuum, it's being made with input from all the different committees with that.
Okay.
And then finally, hold on one sec, and then finally, the last one was the open meetings laws. Basically, I just put all standing committees of the board and subcommittees formed within our public bodies. So, Ms. Justice.
All right, so we're going over this now. You listen to suggestions. Now it's
Yes.
going back to policy.
Going back to policy,
Okay.
this was just for you to give me some input. Mr. Wildeboer has heard the input. I've heard the input. We will talk about this at the policy committee in August, which is next week. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, so that is a wrap on the work session. Thank you for going through that with me, because this is one of those ones, as everybody has said, it's long overdue. Okay, so now, next on our agenda is the superintendent's report.
First, I'll begin with a few budget updates. Ashley, of course, will go into more detail during her presentation, but I want to highlight some significant increases that our employees will see due to this year's budget. You can see, and they will see, the average salaries for some of our classified employees is well over $15 an hour. The state mandated a 4% raise or $15 per hour, but in many cases, we far exceeded that mandate, with some positions seeing well over 10%. These pay scales will be backdated until July 1st, of course, upon board approval. I want to ensure that our employees understand they'll see these changes starting with this month's paycheck, of course, again, after the board has the opportunity to vote on the budget this evening. Next slide. Once again, I'm happy to report that we continue to fill vacancies at an incredible rate, and we will be among the most prepared in the state to start school later this month. One of the things, I was at a conference Thursday and Friday with the Big 12, and so those are the school districts that have 25,000 plus. And a lot of those school districts have well over 200 vacancies that are open right now. And so just a big shout out to all of our hiring managers, anyone who was processing applications, who was processing those vacancies and making sure that individuals were getting what they needed. We now have 25 schools with 0 teacher vacancies and only 32 teacher vacancies out of 2,195 certified staff positions. With recommendations, of course, there'll be more recommendations in the personnel file that you'll see later. Both Coddington and Eden opened their schools this year with 0 teacher vacancies, and we are working closely to close out any vacancies for Snipes and Freeman, for which they will open next week. This concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next up is the board chair report. First and foremost, I want to say let's go, let's roll, let's be ready to go on August the 29th, that our staff and our students for traditional schools will all be coming back to school. And right now we have our 2 year-round schools in session, and our 2 restart schools will start on Thursday and Friday. I had the opportunity to visit one of our year-round schools when they started, and it was smooth. And I happened to just overhear on the announcement something that I know that Dr. Faust had been talking about with his principals. So it was really exciting to be able to listen to that in action. And so I'm looking forward to going on Thursday and Friday to our 2 restart schools. And then, and good luck to all the traditional schools, and with your open houses coming up. We look forward to that, and want to encourage all parents who are listening to attend your school's open house if you can, and find out how you can get involved in your school at the school level through your PTA, PTO, parent support organizations, your school improvement team, and whatever else that your school might see as a priority. So thank you in advance for all of you parents who I know will be doing that. I did want to just also give a shout out to our career and technical department, and well, actually it's really our technology department too, putting together the coding camp that the board members had a chance to go and watch their presentations. And I'm going to tell you what, these kids are amazing. Some of the things that they thought of to create apps for was just like spot on. I'm like, I wanted them to sell it to me right then, to help me with different kinds of things. And their presentation skills were just, phenomenal, for 6th and 7th graders talking to just a room full of adult strangers. So thank you, Ms. Brinson, and to the CTE, Ms. Futrell, for putting that together. And the incredible partnership, through Apple that our superintendent and his team was able to secure. Also, too, just wanted to let you know, too, that several of our board members have been away doing some training this summer. I attended the North Carolina School Boards Association Summer Conference and the legal conference, so I've got a lot of good insight that I was able to share or will be sharing with our staff on different kinds of things that the NCSBA is following on our behalf. So, and that's really about it. I'm looking forward to a good school year, starting it off with a bang, and you'll be hearing more about getting on the energy bus, and I hope that you will join us for a very productive ride. Okay, so next is our information. So first up, Mr. Anderson, Brogdon Hall Gymnasium structural repairs update.
Thank you. You all were able to share and celebrate such good news, and unfortunately, I'm not here to do that tonight. The manufacturing company, as you know, providing the wood flooring for the Brogdon Hall Gymnasium has gone out of business. They're not able to provide the wood, or our contractor is not able to secure that wood. Now, the contractor has identified another wood flooring company that they are working with, but there will be a delay in completing this project. One of the things that we've been looking at very closely, wood floor comes in different grades. Grades typically or generally refer to the clearness of the wood. So a wood that has a grade 1 has very, very few color variations in that wood, and a grade 3 would have more color variations in the wood. This project included a grade 2, and that's consistent with the other high school gymnasiums that were recently constructed. While we can get a grade 3 in faster, New Hanover High School and our facility planning and construction staff really felt that it was to our advantage to stay with that grade 2 because of the light stain that we're using on that floor. So right now, we do not have confirmed dates, but I can let you know that the wood flooring is expected to be delivered in early September. It'll take about a month to install. And the bleachers are expected to be delivered in late September. The installation of those bleachers is scheduled for early October. and we anticipate the final completion of the project to be mid to late October at this point. As we move along in our project and we can confirm delivery dates, I'll be glad to share that information with you. At this time, given the schedule that I just presented, the delay will impact volleyball only. Volleyball will begin August 1st. They'll practice at North Carolina Coastal Volleyball Gym. When school starts and JV volleyball starts, they will practice at the Princess Place Gym right after school, and the varsity will continue to practice at the Coastal Volleyball Gym. Games will be held at Cape Fear Community College's Swartz Center. This delay in the project will not impact wrestling, which is another fall sport. Wrestling matches are hosted in the Princess Place Gym. And I want to just, we plan for the best, or we hope for the best, we plan for the worst. Got that backwards. But I always tell people, we have a schedule. That's our plan A. So have a plan B. You hope you never need it, but point being, if Brogdon Hall is not ready for the start of basketball season, the varsity boys basketball team will practice at Williston, the varsity girls will practice at DC Virgo, and the JV teams will practice at Snipes. Games will be held at Cape Fear Community College's Swartz Center. The first day of basketball practice is October 31st. So if everything goes as scheduled, basketball will not be impacted. But again, we're going to have a plan B just in case, and until we can get these dates confirmed. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I just had a quick one. I'm not familiar with where the North Carolina Coastal Volleyball Gym is. How far away is that from the school?
I believe that's out toward they used to be at the airport, and I think is it still at the airport? Or did they move out towards Castle Hayne?
It's out near Castle Hayne, isn't it? Yes. Isn't that where I saw you one time?
Wow.
An industrial park.
Yeah.
Yes. And so will our athletes be just taken on the bus there?
I don't know.
They won't be able to drive. Huh? Okay.
I didn't ask that question. It's a very good question. New Hanover High School does have an activity bus that's assigned to their school.
Okay.
So if they may be using that, if they need transportation, we will certainly provide transportation.
Okay, that was my question, in case kids can't get there if they don't drive. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Well, that's a big bad bummer, but we're glad that you have a plan A, plan B, and we'll look forward to hearing something positive next month. Okay. Next up is informational framework. Instructional framework is Dr. Faison online?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to take a few minutes to share with the board and our community our instructional framework. And I know the board has seen this before, but I really want to recap for everyone some of the highlight points that we're focusing on this year. So I'm going to back up and just say the instructional framework is a way we can have a common vision and a common language among our teachers. So it was created with teachers. We reached out to our teacher advisory groups. They went back to their schools and actually collaborated with their teachers to come up, what are those instructional practices that we feel best and communicated in our district? So then the principals view this as well. So we're really happy to say that this is our instructional framework. So you will note with the instructional framework, and I'm going to ask you to slide down, there are 4 pillars that outline an instructional framework: planning, instruction, culture, and reflection. Out of these 4 pillars, we have lifted up 3 areas we're considering our focus areas. We know if you try to do too many things well, too many things, you do nothing well. So we are going to lift up 3 things that we're going to focus on this year. So we don't want our teachers to have to do anything new. Our teachers have gone through a lot. We just want to help them hone on their craft. That is the goal this year, just to do what we know as teachers and educators are the best practices. So the first one is when you slide down, scroll down to planning is the top one. And that is aligning learning targets. So we're lifting up learning targets, and you might remember them, I've heard them called objectives or essential questions. They're all the same thing, but it's about where do we want our students to go? What is the objective of this lesson? So we want to unpack them, actually have students and teachers working before they do a lesson. What is the goal of this lesson? What does this target mean? What are these verbs? What are you asking me to learn? And that way, it'll make it so the students are thinking about that throughout. We also are asking that the teachers reference this. This is what we're doing. Remember, we are analyzing character traits. So everything we do is coming back if that was the learning target. So that is number 1, is learning targets. Number 2, for our, if you scroll down again, I'm sorry, is under, keep going, I'm sorry. Well, the number 2 is visual learning tools. So visual learning tools, basically walls that teach. When you walk in a classroom and you know what students are learning, because you can see their workup, you can see the anchor charts and some of the things that students are doing, and they're doing collaboratively with the teacher. So that is the second one. And the last one that we are doing for our focus area is student discourse. And what is student discourse? It's just a fancy way for us as educators to say students talking using academic vocabulary. So they're using those key terms. When we're talking about things, they are using the vocabulary that is related to the subject matter. And we give them time to collaborate and talk, and it's structured. So we put structures in place so both students are talking, they know where they're going. So again, there are 3 focus areas. Learning targets, unpacking the learning target, visual learning tools, and student discourse. Those are the areas that we will be focusing on as a district instructionally. We know if you look at this instructional framework, there are a number of things here, and all of those are valuable. All of those are important. We know teachers will still, in the culture area, they will still build relationship with students. We know that, we expect that, and we want that. We know when we look at reflection, we're still going to use data to drive instruction. But we picked out 3 that we felt if we could get our teachers to hone in on this, it'll take us to the next level with instruction. So we presented this at the leadership retreat. It went over very well, and we're excited, and we'll be sharing this with our teachers in the coming days, and we look forward to supporting them in this. Any questions?
I just wanted to make one comment. First of all, thank you, Dr. Faust, for inviting the Board of Education to come to your leadership retreat. And I'm going to tell you what, Dr. Faison went through this many, many times in a lot of different sessions. And to Mr. Wilderbour's point about like what was the feedback when we were listening, to Ms. Varnum talking, the feedback on this was phenomenal. Everyone was buying into it. And we're already talking about the ways they were going to be posting their target goals. And so I'm excited, to be able to go into a classroom and just see that. And I know our substitute teachers will be happy to see that, and parents will be happy to see that. So thank you, Dr. Faison, for the work that you did in putting this together. It's a nice little Bible, if you will, for how we're going to move forward in 22-23. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up on our agenda is, where'd I go? Jumped ahead. The social studies curriculum update. Will that be you as well?
Yes, that will be me.
Okay,
And so we wanted, we live in a nation that's very big with history and our state and our own community. So Mr. Matthews, our social studies lead, has done so much to provide resources, and our teachers are doing so many things to communicate valuable history. And we just want to highlight it. So we're going to start with 9/11 because it will be coming up. I wanted to make sure everyone knew that we provide our teachers, our secondary and our elementary teachers, with resources. There's also a documentary out, and it's updated each year. Last year we had great participation with this, so we'll be doing that again as well. So just make sure everybody knows that 9/11 is coming up, and we need to make sure that everyone knows and realizes that we do a lot with that in our school, because that is a critical part in our nation's history. Also, Constitution Day. Constitution Day is actually the 17th, but that falls on a Saturday. So it will be recognized on the 16th this year. We also send out materials for our schools, our secondary and our elementary coaches and administrators, so they can have the resources to do that. Last year, Mr. Matthews found that there was a lot of different schools who actually had invited guest speakers. They included announcements about this. So our schools have really stepped up with this. So I just want to highlight them and just call them out for a job well done on doing that. And 1898 is a significant part of our history here locally. So I wanted to share where it is represented in our community, and in our school curriculum. First, and the first place they see this will be in the 3rd grade. In the 3rd grade, they do the Tar Heel walking tour, and they actually go to John Taylor's home, where the tragic event happened, and they visit the memorial. So that is what the tour is about. He also, and when I say he, Mr. Matthews, our social studies lead, provides our schools with resources. And there is a historical fiction story that they can read that kind of helps them recount that. You're thinking from the level of a 3rd grader. So they have that as well. In 4th grade, we do, our state history. So we revisit that here in our community, and we make sure that they have that, so they see it again in 4th grade. In 8th grade, it is a part of our 8th grade curriculum as well. And because, our 8th grade curriculum focuses on North Carolina and American history. So 1898 is there as well. And they also have what he calls a history lab. And, you think about labs, you think about dissecting, and this is how they can dissect the history. It actually allows them to do different stuff with it, write postcards and be transported in that time. And then lastly, in high school, it is part of American history. So I just wanted to take a minute to highlight some of the wonderful tools that we have that highlights 1898. And I'll take any questions.
Well, if I could, from far, far away here. First of all, I do think that it's very respectful that we do talk about 9/11. I think that's very, very strong. September 16th, September 17th, Constitution Day, again, I think that's excellent. I'm going to continue to be concerned about our social studies curriculum overall with, glossary terms such as oppressed and oppressor, marginalized people. And I'm just concerned with our 1898, that we are, I think we should teach factual history, period, end of discussion, not, change facts and stuff. So can you tell me without a doubt, that we're not, and like I said, I don't want to get into Republican, Democrat, but,
right.
It's been changed, and it's been changed again, it's been changed again. So can you speak to that we are definitely teaching it factually? Because I've heard from a lot of people that it is being changed and repackaged, especially the 1898.
So what I will say to you is we share facts. We asked our teachers to share facts. You have to be very careful with history not to bring, or anything you're teaching, to bring your interpretation. That is not our role as educators. So can I say that all teachers, if somebody doesn't slip up, I can't say that. We work with them and try to make sure that they don't. You shouldn't, when someone is teaching something, whether it's history or anything else, you should never know their view, because it's not about their view. Right. It's about the facts. So that's what I would say.
Thank you. And just a question, because another question I've been getting a lot of lately is Mrs. Smith would like to know exactly what her 8th grader is being taught. What would be the easiest way for Mrs. Smith to go online to find out, or exactly, like, for instance, these extra tools we're giving teachers, whether it be 9/11, whether it be Constitution Day, or whether it be 1898, where can they see exactly what's going on?
So Dr. Faust shared briefly that we are actually, first of all, let me answer by saying they could always go to the state guide and see the standards, but that's not parent friendly. So what we've done is, under Dr. Faust's charges, we have created what we call a scope and sequence, and parents will be able to go and see what their child is being taught by the unit. Also, they'll have resources to partner with us, because that's our big thing too, right? We want to tell you what we're teaching so you can help us and partner with us. So we have scope and sequence, and it outlines what is being taught, and the parents can just click on that. If I have a child in 6th grade and I want to know, what is the social studies curriculum, right? What are they being taught? I click on that, it is there, the standards are there, and some resources are there.
And that is on our website, or is that on the school level website? Where is that exactly?
That is going to be live by the first day of school. Just keep in mind, we are doing this to, we have one social studies lead person, one science. So it's taking them time to make sure we get this all there. So it'll be ready. Most of it is ready, but it will go live by the first day of school at the latest with the core areas. So okay. Social studies and all those, and we're still working on some of our CTE, but we are making it so parents can definitely see. We want to be very transparent.
That's awesome. So it would be under the regular website, under instruction.
Yes.
Right.
Mr. Wilmer, that's still being determined.
We think it's great. So what I'll do when it's live, and so maybe the September board meeting, I'll actually walk you through it and let you see it, but it's right on our regular board meeting. I can do that, but it's right there on the curriculum page. I'm sorry, on the curriculum page, our regular curriculum page.
Thank you, Dr. Faison.
I appreciate that.
That's important. Judy, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Oh, well, when Mr. Wildebohr asked his question, I actually did and I wish I still could, did the historic tours for the 3rd graders, Tar Heels Go Walking. It was great. But we cover an awful lot of history of Wilmington, a lot. And 1898 is a very integral part of it, but that's only one of probably a dozen parts, and we teach facts, and the facts are there. They have them on the signage, and the memorial what it's talking about. So, I mean, they're not giving opinions, they're just reading the facts that are actually approved by the historic district here in Wilmington before they put these information sources up.
And also, too, I wanted to reiterate that this has been going on for a number of years, like 8 to 10 years. Yeah. I mean, that we have been talking about this, and adding in new things as they become developed and input is received. So thank you so much, Dr. Faison, for that update, and please extend our thanks to Mr. Matthews for staying on top of all this and keeping us current as we're studying our history. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up is item D, which is classified recognition program. No, we added that part of our agenda.
Oh, sorry.
And here comes Dr. Barnes. Oh, I mean,
I didn't do another outfit change up. I should have. Good evening again. Thank you for having me here. Over the past several months, we've had multiple opportunities to hear from our employees, to hear from our families, regarding culture, climate, working conditions, compensation, classification, to name a few. And a reoccurring theme, really of great interest to human resources, of course, many staff across the division, was the staff's desire, classified staff's desire, to be recognized in a similar fashion as our instructional staff. So teacher recognition, think teacher recognition or principal recognition. So with this information and direction from Dr. Faust and Dr. Barnes, we're really excited to share with you and all of our employees this evening the Excellence Exemplified Classified Recognition Program. Thank you. So in New Hanover County Schools, excellence is an expectation. I'm sorry, I'll try that again. So with that, it is an expectation for our students and for our staff. And this program, what it will do is allow our staff the opportunities to recognize and nominate their colleagues. So nominations can be from teachers, administrators, and of course any classified staff. And what we're doing is looking for opportunities for our employees to recognize excellence that they see in their everyday work. So what that will mean is excellence demonstrated through their job responsibilities, making unique contributions to their department, to their school, or to the division as a whole, creating a supportive environment where there's a culture of respect and inclusion, all while making a positive impact on student achievement, knowing that's really what we're all here for. These award recipients will truly exemplify what excellence is in New Hanover County Schools. So the